Hello, everyone, and welcome to Kinda Sound Radio. You're here with me, your host, Juliette Bryant. This is Transformative Health, and today we are talking magical mushrooms. What a subject! As some of you know, this is a subject that I absolutely love. I am a huge fan of mushrooms and everything about mushrooms. They are truly magical, the world of mushrooms, and it's something I think that we can all keep learning. So, the world of magical mushrooms is a fascinating, fantastic, and mystical domain, really, that has captured the human imagination for centuries. These extraordinary fungi, known for their unique properties and enhancing effects, have played a significant role in cultural, spiritual, and medicinal practices across various cultures and civilizations. And in this show today, in this exploration, we're going to be delving into some of the diverse facets of magical mushrooms, examining their history, their cultural significance, scientific aspects, and the amazing ongoing research surrounding their potential therapeutic application. So, when we look at the use of magical mushrooms, this can be tracked back to ancient civilizations where they were really revered for their mystical properties. If you look at indigenous cultures, particularly around the Central and South American area, there's a rich history incorporating these mushrooms into their spiritual and religious ceremonies. The Aztecs, for instance, referred to the psychoactive mushrooms, the psilocybin mexicana, as the flesh of the gods. And what they really believed was that this connected them with the divine entities and provided profound insights. In other parts of the world, such as Siberia, the indigenous people have a history of using Amanita muscaria, that's that distinctive red and white capped mushroom, in shamanic rituals. And the historical significance of magical mushroom really transcends geographical boundaries. And there's a lot of illustrating throughout these different cultures how the mushrooms have really transported and held us throughout time and geographic location. So, when we look on a cultural aspect, magical mushrooms have really permeated popular culture, finding representation in literature, art, music. And if you look at the counterculture of the 60s and 70s, this was really embracing the psychedelic experiences. And mushrooms had a central role in this exploration of the altered states of consciousness. You know, when you look at influential figures like Timothy Leary and Aldous Huxley, they really popularized the use of psychedelics, emphasizing their ability to expand human potential, to expand human consciousness. And when you think about this, the use of the mushrooms, in my opinion, it's always been at pivotal times that the mushrooms have come in to take us out of the rigid box thinking and into these deeper realms, into these bigger realms of consciousness, so we can really start to expand our perception outside the limiting beliefs that a lot of us are stuck in. So the scientific exploration of magical mushrooms, really the allure of the magical mushrooms isn't just limited to this cultural or historic significance. It also really extends quite massively into the scientific communities. And the analysis of the active compounds responsible for those psychedelic effects of these mushrooms are principally the psilocybin and also the muscimol. So these compounds interact with the serotonin receptors in the brain, leading to these altered perceptions, to enhanced introspection, and in some cases, quite mystical, magical experiences. So there's been a lot of recent advancement in neuroscience and psychology, which has really kind of spurred this resurgence of interest in studying the effects of psilocybin on the brain. Research suggests that these compounds may have therapeutic potential for conditions such as depression, anxiety, PTSD, which is post traumatic stress disorder, OCD. Uh, these are a few of the issues that are really being studied currently. And the controlled studies have shown really promising results. And what this is doing is it's paving the way for future exploration and a more controlled medicinal application of magical mushrooms. And this is quite an exciting thing. There was a brilliant show on Netflix, which was called How to Change Your Mind, which looked into the medicinal therapeutic application of not just psilocybin, but they looked at MDMA, they looked at mescamol, so they looked at other forms of psychedelics or things that will enhance for therapeutic effect. You know, mushrooms, there was a lot of research being done in the 60s and 70s into the medicinal benefits of these psychoactive mushrooms, and then it was all stopped. It was all put a halt to, and now we are really blessed that this is all starting again. So when we look at the therapeutic potential of magical mushrooms, this has really sparked a huge paradigm shift in how society views these fungi. So clinical trials and research studies are underway to explore the use of psilocybin assisted therapies as a treatment for a lot of different mental health disorders. And the preliminary results really indicate that guided psychedelic experiences, when combined with that therapeutic support, can lead to huge increases in patients' mental well-being. So I think a large part of this is that creating that sacred space. What has been found throughout time is that when you create with whatever psychedelics you're working with, when you create that safe environment, this is a really important aspect of it. You create the safe environment for someone to be able to feel free to drop into these deeper experiences. This is a key thing to be able to access then this deeper medicine of the plant or mushroom, whatever it is, whether it's peyote, you know, whether it's ayahuasca, whether it's the psilocybin from the mushrooms, whether it's the muscimol from the amanita, but it's creating that safe environment and being held on a journey so that you feel safe to go into these realms. Because if you're alone with your own thoughts, you know, potentially that could be unnerving. But when you know that someone's there holding that space, this is a very, very key part of all of this. So when we are looking at, you know, the therapeutic application, one of the things when we're looking at psilocybin is the unique ability of psilocybin to induce a state of heightened introspection and this expanded consciousness, which has been linked to its potential to really break negative thought patterns and to foster this sense of interconnectedness. I think this is a really important part of it, you know, on the wider scale of it, when people have these experiences with psilocybin or ayahuasca or things like this, what they often report is a deeper connection to nature, a deeper feeling of purpose on this planet, not this separateness. That so often pervades our society, this separation. And this is a large part of the work I do, not with psychoactives, but in general. How can we foster this deeper relationship with the plant kingdom and with the earth itself so that we feel, so we understand our place in society so much better, so we have this deeper awareness of the interconnectedness of all things. When you look at the mycelium network is this root network of the mushrooms. It's covers the whole planet in a bright white filament. So the mushroom's main body is underground, connecting everything. It's in the trees, it's in the plants, it's in the animals, it's in us. This mycelium network that interacts with every living thing. And when you work with these psychoactive mushrooms, sometimes what they enable you to do is, as I said before, open up these doors of perception that allow you to sense the world, the unseen world, this invisible power that is all around us, that so many of us have been bred to be out of sync with. For me personally, growing up, I was always very open and aware of the world around me that most people weren't aware of, the energetics of the world around me. And that I always found very hard. And as I've grown up and as I've connected into my truth spiritually and found my tribe and like-minded people, I can understand it so much more. And for me, I haven't needed to have so many psychoactive experiences because my mind is already open. And I see this in the children coming in. So many of the children coming in now, their minds are open to these other doors of perception. But some people can't access that without taking something like ayahuasca or the psilocybin mushroom to open up a wider world of perception beyond the limiting 3D world that we are programmed to see. So one of the things that a lot of the research into the use of psilocybin has had is really looking at treating depression, addiction, and also end of life anxiety. It's been a very big movement in looking at end of life anxiety and working with cancer patients and other people with terminal conditions, taking them on a journey with the psilocybin, with the magic mushrooms, so that they too understand that deeper place that they have on this planet, because they get that interconnectedness. And I think that's a really important thing. Knowing there is more to life than just what we see, it is so, so key. So one of the things when it comes to obviously the magical mushrooms is the legal and ethical considerations that are growing. So despite this growing body of evidence supporting this therapeutic potential of magic mushrooms, unfortunately the legal considerations persist. So the classification of psilocybin as a Schedule 1 substance in many countries has really blocked research and limited access to these compounds for therapeutic purposes. However, there is a huge growing movement advocating for the decriminalization of psychedelic substances because of their amazing potential benefit. And when you think about something like psilocybin, it's a mushroom that grows profusely all around. And for me, the limiting, the restricting of something that nature is providing us, I think is a dangerous ground. I don't believe that we should be restricted in what nature is providing. Restrict the chemical stuff by all means, like ban and restrict, access to things that are toxic and harmful for the body. And yes, we have to be responsible, but we have to be responsible with all things in nature, and I think this is the key, that the chemical toxic stuff manufactured, including pharmaceutical things that are prescribed to people, have far more devastating effects on people. One of the leading causes of death is pharmaceutical medication prescribed correctly, adverse drug reactions. And so when we ban nature, when we restrict nature, for me, this is a criminal thing, that we restrict nature. So obviously we want to always ensure the safety and the well-being of everyone. This is a very important person and important thing, that we have this ethical respect for nature, that we want to keep people safe in this exploration and this deeper look at the psychedelics in a therapeutic setting. this really important. And obviously, if people are going out picking mushrooms, then potentially you could be picking the wrong thing. And so we do have to have this look at it. But when you make substances illegal, what you're doing is you're pushing them into the black market, which I think is actually more dangerous, because then there's the potential negative implications of people getting involved in that side of things, a more shady industry. Whereas given the right guidance, the right information, people could go out and collect the correct mushrooms. And, for me, a large part of the interest in psychedelics is also in the application of them in the microdose capacity. So when you look at something like psilocybin, the psilocybin is, from the magic mushrooms. When you look at the application of psilocybin taken in a microdose, so what that means is a macrodose, you would go on a journey, on a trip. But a microdose, you're not necessarily going to feel anything. But what research is showing currently is that the microdose goes in and it helps to release trauma from the brain. So it's helping to release these traumatic events without us having to relive them. So this is a very, very interesting concept. And when you look at someone like Paul Stamets, his exploration and research into the microdosing, what he's found is when you combine psilocybin with reishi, lion's mane, and niacin, um, this combination is very, very powerful for unlocking trauma, for helping to release it. So lion's mane mushroom is an incredible mushroom. When we talk magical mushrooms, I believe that there are so many magical mushrooms, not just the ones with these psychoactive properties, but there are many magical mushrooms out there. So when you look at lion's mane, for example, lion's mane is very good for cognitive function. It's also very good because it's high in nerve growth factor. So what this is doing is it's helping us to regenerate nerve growth. So very good if you've had an accident, you've hurt your shoulder, you've got the scar tissue, you've got damage to your nerves. That nerve growth factor can come in and help the body repair. Also in the brain, helping the same thing. So when you combine that with the psilocybin, you're creating new neural pathways whilst you release the old stuck patterns through the psilocybin. The reishi in itself is also helping to reduce stress, reduce anxiety, working to really support the body on the whole. One of the names that rishi's got is the spirit mushroom, because evidence is that it helps you to realign to your spirit, to that deeper purpose within your being. So, there's some really interesting, exciting information out there and exciting research being done. And I think this is where we really need to start looking at how can we expand out of our limiting beliefs. Now, it might be that you don't want to explore the psychedelics. That's fine. I believe that we can work with all of the plants around us to increase and the earth, our capacity, our expansion of our mind to see things in a new way. For me, when I connect into the earth, when I connect into nature, when I align myself to that, the downloads that I can get, the psychedelic experiences with non-psychoactive things, just sitting under an oak tree, sitting by a hawthorn tree, hugging a yew tree, all of these things can have these profound moments where you shift out of the limiting perception of our mind if you allow yourself to do that. And for some people, their brains can't fathom that until they have an experience with a psychedelic or an experience with something like ayahuasca or peyote, when they access the DMT in their brain, when they're taking their consciousness to a deeper level. Other people, through sitting in meditation, they can access these states. Other people by working with blue lotus or reishi mushroom. With some people, it's cannabis. There's lots of different ways that people can access these altered states of consciousness that allow us to expand out of the limiting thoughts that we are programmed with. And I think this is really the key, one of the keys anyway, to our evolution. And for me, it's something I'm researching quite a lot, the evolution of mankind throughout history, of humankind throughout history, and the role that mushrooms have had in that journey. How have mushrooms formed and shaped our minds, shaped our perception? How has, the work of the shamans, whether they're the Celtic shamans, the Druids, whether they're the Amazonian ones, wherever these people are, these guides, the Siberian shamans. But there have always been these deep medicine people who have communed with nature, and they've used tools of nature to help them commune more deeply, whether it's the amanita mushroom, the fly agaric, whether it's the psilocybin, whatever it is, whether it's the peyote. People have accessed these plants, and how have they found them? Well, they've communicated with the earth, with the plant and mushroom spirits, and been guided to the ones that are going to help them expand their consciousness to these new levels. So, the invitation really that we're looking at the moment is, how can we expand our consciousness? How can we expand our awareness? What is it for you that does it, that helps you to expand your consciousness? I work a lot with mushrooms, and I have lots of amazing mushroom products I make, non-psychoactive ones. And for me, one of the greatest supports is my double strength dual extract mushroom tincture, which is reishi, chaga, lion's mane, cordyceps, and turkey tails. And I have this every day. And for me, what it does is it helps to reduce stress, reduce anxiety, and it allows my brain to work properly. It allows my brain to really realign itself. It allows the fog to go so I can see clearly, so I can access my highest potential. But a big part of that is the connection to nature. It is that earth connection. And for me, without that earth connection, I wouldn't be doing the work I'm doing. I wouldn't be the person I am. And so that for me is the fundamental thing. How can we deepen our earth connection so that we can truly live in a aligned, supported way, so that we can truly access this abundance that is all around us, so that we can truly access the wisdom that is coming in from the cosmos and up from the earth, meeting in our hearts, these two celestial bodies, the divine feminine, divine masculine, and we are in the center of this. And we are harmonizing these energies and filtering them through our being to create this beautiful alchemy, this white gold, this magic. We're combining these energies within our beings. And I think that is part of our mission, to be these alchemical vehicles to combine so that we can expand and become something even better. We can step into our highest potential. We can step into that inner wisdom that's always there, that higher self that we already are, but we can step into that truth of that. And that for me, I think, is such an amazing and exciting thing. And the work with magical mushrooms, the work with this journey has been happening throughout time. And who is the government to restrict us? And why are they choosing to do that? Well, for me, there's a very simple answer to that. Yours might be different to mine, but the reason I believe we are being restricted from these things is because they are here to help us evolve. And it is not in the interest of the powers that be to see a society of people evolving and rising up, thinking radically, changing and transforming their beliefs and their connection to the earth, and understanding that they are sovereign beings, powerful sovereign beings of this earth. And when you tune into that, you're unstoppable, because it's no longer just your wisdom as an ego separate identity. You have the support and the backing of all of nature. It's with you. It's there standing. And that's what I want. That's what I want to help guide people into, that strength, that deep, deep connection. So I hope you've enjoyed this deep dive into magical mushrooms. I'm going to be talking more and more about mushrooms in my show, because I think, are such an important thing. The mushrooms, the plants, the earth wisdom, that's what I'm about. And for some of you who listen to my show regularly, I had a profound initiation recently where I feel initiated into being an earth wisdom keeper. And part of that responsibility is to wake that up in other people, that we're all earth wisdom keepers. So I feel my role is to help those initiations in others so that they can become empowered to be earth wisdom keepers, and then they can pass on this knowledge. And for me, the mushrooms are key. All mushrooms, the non-poisonous ones, obviously. I don't want anyone to go out and die, but stepping into this power of the earth is so, so important. So I hope you've enjoyed this show for Kinda Sound Radio. You've been with me, your host, Juliette Bryant. Please do visit my website, juliettebryant.com, and check out the work I'm doing. I'm embarking on a very exciting plant wisdom mentorship starting in January, a year-long course. And that is going to be an amazing, amazing deep dive into earth wisdom, plant wisdom, and earth wisdom. So if you're up for knowing more about that, visit my website and you can see the work I'm doing. Kinda Sound are doing some incredible work, so do check out kindasound.org and the amazing presenters that are on Kinda Sound. And share the love, share these shows out there so that we can get more listeners, so we can grow our sponsorship and our funding, so we can keep this platform going. Lots of love to you all, sending you love and kindness.